I'm gonna make it the whole too.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So yeah, I'm gonna repeat that then really quick. So I wanted to talk about a little bit today how to effectively communicate in your business. And there's probably kind of three areas that this yeah, definitely very informal today. Um, definitely kind of three areas I sort of put communication under. It's communication with your team, it's communication with your clients, and then it's communication with everyone else in your network and prospective clients, right? So there's kind of three different buckets that we can think about communication. And so communication with your team. So Kim, I know you don't necessarily have a team that this is going to play into right now, but it will play into when you look to expand your team. I know you and I have had conversations sort of surrounding that. But communicating with your team, there's several different areas in that. When you're first starting out and you're bringing on your first team member, your second team member, that's when a lot of it's we don't always know what we're doing, right? We don't always know, like, I know we need help and I'm just going to get somebody and come in here and help me. Okay, great. I mean, that's not very informative, right? That doesn't necessarily give them a lot to go with. Imagine if someone came to you and said, I don't know what I need, just help me. We're going to have a lot of confusion as to what direction to head, right? So it is usually, especially if you're kind of bringing on your first team member, or this is kind of the first formation of a team that you have going on, is to really take some time to get very clear on the type of help you need and what you expect from them. Okay. It's basically think back to, I know we've all had jobs, we've worked for other employers, and we walk in on day one for training, and some jobs you get like this very thorough training and maybe a manual and a book to go by, and several days you're shadowing someone and kind of some hands-on learning, and so it's really very clear what they want you to do and how they want you to do it. And I'm sure we've walked into jobs where it's maybe not so clear. You're kind of asking a whole lot more questions like, well, but what about this? Well, but what about this? We didn't cover that. Well, do you want me to do this? Right? So you want to get very, very clear and take some time to get clear on what type of help you need. I know it can be, oh my God, I just need to get people in here and they need help, and I need an admin. Like, they just need to come in and be a pre-trained admin and know what it is that I need. That's not going to work. You need to give them some guidance, right? And so if there's any confusion, or where maybe you aren't clear or don't know how to put that together, that is something I would take into a further conversation. And we can kind of outline exactly what that is. But think about, always put yourself in their shoes. If you were going to be coming into a job, and while you may be highly skilled at what you do, you're going to need some parameters, right? You're going to need some guidelines. You're going to need to know what you can do, what you can't do, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what's expected of you, what's not expected of you. You kind of need those guidelines and parameters that you can kind of work your magic in, right? So always put yourself in that person's shoes. It's very difficult when we're the business owner and we're kind of scrounging around going, oh my God, help me, please. Just help me. But we have to step back and take the time to be very clear, because what happens if we don't is there's a lot of confusion down the road. Your team member may be on board with you 2 or 3 months and you're like, they're just not doing what I thought they were going to do, right? Like, I don't know that this is going to work out. Like, I had an expectation, kind of think if that word is coming in your head, that they would be doing this, or they would be doing this, or not doing this. And I just feel like I'm having to handhold them and answer 50 questions. And this just doesn't seem helpful at all. Couple things that go on there. Number one, you could have mishired for the help that you actually need, which again is where getting very clear on the actual help that you need is important for step one. But step two is that may be on us. We weren't very clear with them from the get-go exactly what we expect, setting aside that time to train them and exactly what we want them to do in the way we want them to do it in our business. We have to take on, as a leader in our business and as the CEO, the position of we need to set our team up to succeed. And part of that is proper training, proper communication, or there's a lot of confusion. So a lot of owners that I work with, that's typically where some of that disconnect starts with at the beginning. So that's kind of piece number one, is with your team. As you grow your team, and that's sort of starting your team. As you grow your team, it's going to be even more important to continue that communication with all of your team members, making sure you didn't just have a conversation with one team member and then you didn't tell this person over here and you thought this person was going to tell this person, but then this person ended up working on it. It's a lot of confusion. That's where project management tools, shared file spaces, that sort of thing, that's where your processes really start coming into play. That is your communication, right? You have processes for channeling information to each other. So that's where those workflows and processes and all the boring crap that people don't want to think about, that's where all of that actually comes into play. So then you have this seamless team that's effectively communicating with each other, and there's no questions. So when there are conversations and questions, they're productive questions instead of I feel like you should already know this type questions and frustrations. So there's bucket number one for communications. Bucket number two for communications is with your clients. So that starts with your discovery call, being very clear as to the services you provide, how you provide them, what you will and won't provide for them, especially those of you that know your human design. And if you have a 5 line in your human design, reputation is everything for you. Kim, I can't remember if you have a 5 in yours or not.
I'm not sure. I was going to go double check myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, go double check. I know I've got yours here somewhere, but double check, see if you have a 5. But any of you that have a 5 in your profile for your human design, that 5, that teacher line, that heretic line is all about reputation. And you're going to be pulled into feeling like you aren't delivering, and people are going to project that disappointment on you if you feel like, or if they feel like you aren't delivering the solution that they thought you were going to deliver. So being very, very clear and concise, especially for those with 5 lines, I mean, down to the minutia. I will give you 2 email responses. I won't respond after 5 o'clock. I will, those very, very, very specific details are going to be important in not only in the outline of your services, so wherever they're written, are also whenever you're speaking to a client or a prospective client, making sure they are very aware of all of those details. Your contract is going to be incredibly important. In fact, I was just having a conversation with a client this morning. She does have a 5 line. And it's actually a wedding planning business, but we're actually expanding her contract to include all of the extra things that can happen on a wedding day that people just want to assume that the coordinator is just going to pick up and do. We're having to expand it and include those things that day of coordination does not include, or there will be extra fees, so that it's very, very, very clear from the get-go. So if you've ever had a situation where you have personally worked with somebody and you thought you were getting one thing, but you didn't get that, and then you go back to look at the contract and it's not really clear in the contract, then you start going back to emails. Well, it's not really clear there. So then you have to kind of have this conversation with the person. Well, I thought I was getting that. It just leads to a lot of frustration and awkwardness. No one wants to have that conversation, right? So being very clear in all of your communication, written, especially about your packages and your services. Kim, I think this probably lends to some of the issues you were having with a client here recently with overstepping your boundaries and last minute requests and things like that. I think making sure there are those boundaries and very clear expectations, that's going to help solve a lot of that, right? You're still going to get those people that want to push the boundaries, but they can't say they weren't told or weren't aware. Okay. So that's where you want to be clear from the get-go. And then you want to have clear communication during the process that you're working with your client. So that's going to vary for all of you as to what you do. But you want to be very clear. So it's great. Okay, I've been clear with them. I've signed them on. They've said, yes, they're going to work with me. That's awesome. I have this thorough contract. And then you go dark. That's not going to be clear communication with your client. So you want to make sure what will 9 times out of 10 prevent a client from getting irritated or angry or confused is going a little overboard on the communication, right? Giving weekly status updates, or hey, we've gotten this far, we're running into issues with this piece, this might apply to you a little more specifically, Kim. This is where we've gotten, we want to spend a little bit more time on these different sections. We're still looking to finish on time, but kind of this is where we are, right? That, quite frankly, keeping that honest communication and those updates with clients, that it's very clear, prevents a lot of the questions and the confusion and the boundary creeping and all of that. They feel like they didn't just pay money and then are sucked into a dark hole. They actually kind of know what's going on. You think about it. You want to know what's going on with things in your life, right? It's no different for any of your clients. If you're paying a high ticket price for something, you just want to know what's happening, right? That all comes down to communicating with them. So again, whether that's regular status updates in your case, Kim, or those of you that have a group program, make sure your communication in your group program is regular. Okay, it's clear. They know where to go. They know what the next step is. They know what the guidelines are. They know what the deadlines are. Whatever the case is, you want to make sure it's very clear. It is very hard sometimes when you are the creator of a package or a program or something, and you know all of the ins and outs and details. It's very hard to step out of that into someone else's shoes that has zero idea. Okay. So sometimes I recommend having someone else audit that process. Okay. So whether that's a friend or family or someone else, or whether you choose to work with someone else like me or whatnot that audits your process and communication with your clients, that helps with testimonies. You get people that are like, oh my God, I really love to work with you and I want to give you a testimonial and all this kind of stuff. It keeps your clients happy, right? All you got to do is communicate with them a lot of times. It's a really big part of things, right? Third bucket is communicating with your network and prospective clients. Okay. So like I'm a big networker. I know there are those of you in here that are also kind of big networkers. Anybody you're meeting and you want to have in your network or maybe collaborate with, or maybe they're a prospective client, you don't want to like meet them and then ghost them, right? They're probably not going to work with you, right? You want to make sure you stay in communication with them. Build that relationship with those people. That means periodically putting on the to-do list. Email this person. Hey, how you doing? touch base with them. It's tough to keep up with, but that's where a really good CRM can help with those reminders. Hey, you haven't talked to this person in 2 months. You networked with them. There was no, you might have a possible collab, follow back up with them, right? So that's where those good project management and CRM tools can really be helpful as far as keeping those communications open with your network. And then prospective clients, same thing, using a good CRM to stay in touch with them, as well as in your messaging. Of course, this is a little more in the marketing territory, but clear and concise messaging as far as who you are, what you offer, what you can help them with, is very, very important. Your messaging and your marketing is 100% communication. That is all communication, right? So you want to make sure that that is portraying what you want, right? And this is definitely much more Lori's territory, so we're not going to head too far down this road, but marketing is all communications with your network and your prospective clients. So just like you would with your team, just like you would with clients that have already signed up to work with you, just like you would with your friends and family, communicate. Think your marketing is just communicating with people, talking to people. What would you say? Right? Lori probably has a different take on it, but have a conversation with them on social media. If that helps you think about and take some of the stress out of social media and marketing, just think of it as you're just talking to people. How would you talk to them? Right? How would you communicate with them? Oh, I see a look. Yes.
I was just gonna say, I don't know what you actually said. I just heard my name. I was like, just finished eating and like, kind of like came back up and like, that might not be what Lori would say. So,
No, you were fine. So we were
turn
talking
that
about, yeah, we were talking about the third bucket of communications in business, which is talking to prospective clients and your network. And basically all of your marketing is communication.
Yes.
Making sure it's clear, making sure it says what you want it to say, being authentic. What would you say to somebody standing right in front of you? Talking to your ideal client right in front of you. Have a conversation with a freaking mirror, record it, and go put it, may not be the great, but like have a conversation with somebody, an ideal client, record it, write it down. What did you say? There's your marketing. That's what you're wanting to say. That's what you're wanting to talk to. There's a lot of stress around that. And again, Lori's your girl for all of that, but you're just communicating with people. You're just talking, right? But you want to make sure you're clearly communicating with your team, with your current clients. It's going to reduce headaches. It's going to reduce frustration. It's going to reduce a lot of your time being spent and a lot of your money being wasted, because you can waste your time, which is money, your team's time, which is money, your client's time, which is money, and you can actually be working on bringing in other clients and making yourself more money rather than wasting money. So believe it or not, communication is cash in your business. And so the clearer it is, the more concise it is, and the more effective it is, the more money you make. So it's kind of what I wanted to go over. There's a whole lot more we could get into in that subject, but hopefully that helps you guys start to think through those different pieces of communication in your business and where, I haven't been focusing on that. Maybe I should. Oh, I'm kind of frustrated with my admin. Maybe I should see how I'm communicating. Maybe that's part of the issue, right? It can lead to so many things. It can actually be at the core and the root of a lot of frustrations you can experience in business. So I'm going to turn it over to questions. I know Zainab, you joined us a little bit late, so you may have some questions where we started, but I'm going to turn the floor over. Do any of you all have any questions on communications? If not, any questions in regards to your business? feel free, jump on in, unmute. I'm not shy. We're going to be casual today. I am not even looking at that.
For the communications, it's very interesting that you brought that up, because I talked to my sister-in-law this past weekend. Not the one that I told you about before, but another sister-in-law who also needs a website. And I know she can't afford to pay me, and I need some admin stuff, and I can't afford to pay somebody. So we agreed to swap services.
Okay.
And so it's very interesting that you brought that up, because I've been trying to rack my brain as to like what I need and how I can tell it to her. So
Okay.
this has been very informative on that.
Okay.
And
did that help provide any clarity about how you can think through that to see what kind of help you need?
it does, yes.
Okay.
And then the other thing is about processes, because I know I've been doing the time blocking now for about going on 3 weeks, and I'm really struggling with keeping with it. I'll look back and I'm like, I didn't get anything done, or I'll look back and it's like, oh, I should be working on this, and already half an hour has gone by and I haven't even started it yet. So I'm wondering, I know Jana had mentioned something about, instead of doing time blocking, where you make a list of must do's and should do's or something like that, and then you pick from the list. And I was just wondering like how that works, or how I could try that out if time blocking's not working for me.
Okay. First, I want to ask you a question as far as time blocking. Because some people think it's very rigid, and it has to be like this thing that can't flex and can't move. And so I know, Kim, you and I talked about kind of how that could be a little more fluid to adjust for you, especially if you get into hyper focus mode or really into a client project or whatnot. So I want you to tell me a little bit more about what's frustrating about the time blocking, and what do you feel like is not working with the time blocking?
Well, I have it set up based on a video I saw for time blocking for ADHD. And it was talking about putting like a color for what's the most important stuff that you just can't move, like appointments and stuff like that. And then having something for like backups, like I need to get this done in order to get this done. And then having your regular flow of things you need to do throughout the day. So I've been doing it that way, but then I find that it seems every day I'm moving stuff to the next day and then to the next day. And it's like, maybe I'll get 2-3 things done at the max. And then the rest of it gets moved to the next day, which anything on that next day gets moved over. And so it's like, it feels like I'm getting backed up, if that makes sense.
It does. Is the color coding helping? Or do you feel like
the color coding helps. It's just like I will get to where I'm like unmotivated or having trouble focusing that day. So like I'll miss a block of time that I was supposed to get something done. So then I'll move it to the next day, and then I'll start working on what's coming next. Or I get so hyper focused into working on a task that when the timer goes off or when it's time to finish that task, I can't break that focus. So I keep working on it, and then anything after it gets moved.
Okay. So I think, were you setting aside, because I think we talked about having maybe putting an hour in at the beginning of your day to kind of do some admin-y things, because you were finding that you weren't fitting those in at all. Is that part of your time blocking?
Yes, I do have an hour set aside for admin, but then I end up skipping that hour.
So why do you feel the need to skip that hour?
Just usually when I'm supposed to get starting working, I guess maybe I need to change it around some, because it's like when I sit down to start working, my brain doesn't want to focus. So it takes me about an hour to 2 hours just to get into focus mode to get started. So then I end up skipping that hour and then going right into, once my brain is like, okay, I'm ready to work, going into starting to work. So maybe I need to like adjust my schedule more to give myself that time to say, okay, I'm going to go from this time to focus, and then start my admin after that and the rest of the day from there.
Yeah, if you need to allow yourself the time to focus, because I was trying to remember. I was pulling up your chart. If
Okay.
you need to, there you are. Yeah. Especially with you being a projector, you're
Mhm.
gonna, and being ADHD.
Mhm.
The projector, you're not always gonna have the energy there that's every day. And there's nothing, you're not doing anything wrong. You're not, it's just, it's part of who you are and how you're made. So you need to honor that and build it into your schedule enough that you can honor that. That being said, we also need to keep a flex schedule to flow with your ADHD.
Mhm.
The reason we were putting admin at the beginning was so that there was some dedicated time, so you didn't get to the end of the week and say, I didn't do any marketing. You know, I
Right.
didn't do any of these tasks, right?
Mhm.
I would like to see you try to still keep that in, so that you can keep the momentum of your business going. If that, at least there's still a dedicated time before you get to other stuff.
Mhm.
So you don't let those things go for 2-3 weeks. Well, then we aren't keeping the momentum for marketing and lead gen and all of the other things, right?
Right.
But as far as getting focused first, you need to honor what it's going to take for you to get going. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you need to, you get up, you need to take an hour, whatever it is to get into the zone
Mhm.
to work, then you need to build that into your schedule.
Okay.
Okay. Because if you've identified that's something you need, then that needs to be a priority.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then I would start with trying to, again, whether it's every day, few days a week, play around with it, flex with it. Okay. To have that dedicated admin time. Now, that being said, whatever you would put in that admin time, those may be things you can put on your sister-in-law's list.
Okay. And that's what I was thinking about.
Okay. Yeah. And we'll get into that in just a second. As far as the different lists, so what Jana was talking about, and it's there's different ways to go about it. I actually do that, and I go about it in a way of, where is the pressure coming from? Okay, so I don't know if this will help you kind of think through it. I don't have mine color coded, but I do have, so like my admin things, and then I have client deliverable type tasks, right? And so I have daily what I should be working on, right? But every day at the end of the day, I reassess. So I go back in and I'm like, okay, life went crazy today, and that meeting went over by an hour, and that was the only hour I had to do this, and this. So what priority does that make that task now? Okay. At the same time, I'm looking at my schedule for the next day or the rest of the week, and I reprioritize everything in the rest of the week. Okay. So it sounds like you're kind of doing that, but what you're running into is you're not allowing enough time to, it's like the never ending to-do list that you don't feel like you can make progress on because you keep bumping and bumping and bumping. All right. So part of that is then, what is on that list and why do we keep having to bump it? Would be my question. Okay.
Well, I have like client work, that things I need to get done, and then I might have something that comes in that needs to get done right now, like a technical issue, like something broke and it has to be fixed right now. So then it takes time to get that done. Or it might be, like I said, I get hyper focused on one thing and I'm working on that thing. And so then I forget, oh yeah, I need to go over here. And like Lori had said about setting timers in her last thing that I saw, I do set timers, but then I find I'm so hyper focused, I turn off the timer and keep working.
But do you find when you do that and you stay hyper focused on a project, do you feel better about staying hyper focused on the project? Or are you giving yourself all kinds of grief and guilt for, yay, I worked on that project, but dang it.
Mhm.
I'm letting these
Other
these
things
go
go.
by and I'm working
Right.
on them. Okay.
Yes.
So it's good that you're hyper focused and staying on that project, if that's what
Mhm.
I'm hearing, right? You feel a
Right.
little, okay.
Yeah. When I look at the end of the day, it's like, oh my goodness, I finally got this done. And like, I have a website that I've completed and now I just need to go live with it. And I feel great about that. But then I feel guilty because this other stuff didn't get done, but I got the website done. It's just the other stuff I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, that's where so I look at all of my tasks as in part priority. Okay. So there's going to be a part priority and then there's going to be a part, where is the pressure coming from? So that's kind of the other component. And I always ask, is this pressure coming from outside?
Mhm.
Is it coming from me?
From me.
Okay. So that's where we need to take that out of it, right?
Mhm.
And kind of translate that into priority without the guilt and the pressure.
Mhm.
And then take that in a combination with what we have on our plate. Okay. So part of the work for you is mindset to honor your boundaries and be okay with it, right? You need to accept that it is okay. And this is how you stay in your zone when you stay hyper focused and you work on this project. And that's actually serving your clients better.
Okay.
So what you're doing is a good thing.
Okay.
And you've identified this is how you work best. We all at different stages in our business. In fact, I'm kind of doing some switching around myself as far as how and when I want to do things and my own boundaries. So sometimes that's a fluid thing. It's not like you're going to lock yourself into one way for the rest of your life. It's going to be fluid.
Okay.
But focusing on and honoring how you work best has to be at the core of that. Okay. So you, through this process, have identified some ways that you work best.
Okay.
Okay. So taking the rest of that task list that didn't get done, we need to take the guilt out of it.
Okay.
Okay. You are honoring you and how you work.
Okay.
And that is fine.
Okay.
Part of what that may mean is, and I think from some of the responses we were going back and forth with your questions, was redefining your client deliverable time periods to honor you and how you work.
Okay.
Okay, so that may be part of what you need to do to let go of the guilt.
Okay.
Establishing those guidelines up front, keeping those clients informed along the process so you don't feel like, oh my God, they're going to be so angry because I didn't get this done and then I'm not getting this done. Is it them putting the pressure or is it you?
Me.
Okay. If you don't feel like you're getting the pressure from the client and it's all you, then you know that's where the work needs to start.
Okay.
Learning to let go of that guilt and work it in the next day or the day after and determine the priority based on your client deliverable time period or some other priority and not your guilt.
Okay.
Okay. I recognize it's easier said than done. I really do. This is literally my to-do list for the week. I get it. Tuesdays I'm basically, my butt is in a chair for 8 hours on meetings with one client. And by the end of the day, I'm like, I accomplished nothing. I really feel like I accomplished nothing. I accomplished a heck of a lot for the day. But there are days you get at the end and you're like, there is not a darn thing that I crossed off this list today. It only got longer after all of those meetings. Take a breath. Reassess, celebrate what you got done. Okay. Learn to celebrate what you do get done and honor how you work. Okay. and then try to take an objective look and your schedule for the rest of the week. And I only try to put in things, if I have a lot of meetings or if I have a lot of things, I won't put a lot on that day. It gets pushed back. If there's a day that's wider open, which is why I have admin days on Mondays, a lot of that stuff, if it doesn't have to get done that week, it's getting pushed to the next Monday. And I'm okay with that. Do I want it done? Yep. If you like to cross it off and never see it again, you're darn tootin'. But I'm putting that pressure on myself to cross it off the list, not anybody else. Is
Okay,
the world going to end? Is somebody going to die? Is somebody going to get hurt by me not cleaning out my email inbox? No, probably not.
right.
Right? Or canceling Airtable. No, nothing's going to happen. Like, I'm literally reading off of my to-do list. Is it on here and do I have to look at it all week? Yes. So if you're going to put that pressure on yourself, put it on a day that you don't have anything else.
Okay.
Block off a whole day. Again, that time blocking does not have to be this rigid thing that you can't move and you can't play with, right, Lori? That you can't like flex and feel into your day and honor how you work. It's just meant to try to help you compartmentalize and tackle the things you need to do in your business, whether it's client, admin things, taking a nap. I mean, that's important too, not gonna lie. You may need to take some of those.
Yes, that's one thing I noticed is I had to put breaks on there because I would work through the whole day without even taking a break because I felt guilty taking a break. It's like this, how can I take a break when all this work has to be done? I should be working. And so I had to come to terms with that and make sure I scheduled my own breaks in and kind of try to force myself to take those breaks.
Do you feel better when you take the breaks? Are you allowing yourself to take a break?
I'm getting better at it. I still feel kind of like, oh, I should be working, but I'm like, no, I need a break. I've worked, all this time. And so it's time to take a break, energize, refresh, and then get back to work.
So how would you feel, and you may have had this experience before, working for someone and the expectation is there that you just work and work and work and they give you grief if you take a break or something like that? Wouldn't really like to work in that environment, right?
Right.
Be a nicer boss to yourself.
Okay.
Be the
I'm sorry.
boss that you would want in that situation.
Okay.
What's up?
Okay? Because no one else is going to do it for you.
What's up?
Yeah. And I think it was easier when I was working with somebody because I had those scheduled breaks. So it's like, okay, it's your break time. You need to take it. And I know I had one job where I would skip the break and my boss would get mad at me for skipping the break. So I guess it's back to, okay, well, now I'm the boss. I need to get mad at myself for skipping that break.
I mean, I don't really want you to get that angry at yourself for skipping a break, but you have to be, especially you as a projector, you're not one of us generators that's going to work 20 hours. Like if we're just absorbed in what we're doing and we love what we're doing, like we have the energy to go. You don't.
Yeah.
It's not going to come natural to you. So it's even more important for you to take those breaks because you won't be able to finish your work or show up for your clients the best way that you can if you don't.
And I think part of it goes into the society beliefs that, work hard and, and especially here in the US, we have this work hard mentality and overworking ourselves. And it's like, oh, well, you should be able to, get 4 hours of sleep and work 10 hours a day. And
It's bullshit.
I need to forget those norms.
We're very conditioned by society, and it's one thing for people like me or like Lori or even Matthew to be conditioned. Like, we do have that energy, like we can be sucked in and burn out. Burnout for you is going to be even different because you're being sucked into an energy that you don't have naturally.
Mhm.
So it can actually be worse for you. Health conditions and that sort of thing can be worse for you. So it actually needs to be, I don't want to say even more of a priority, but potentially even more of a priority for you as a projector.
Okay.
Mhm. Keep working at it. Give yourself grace. Okay. None of us are born to know how to run a business and be a boss and do all the client deliverables and run the back end and do all of the things in our business like a pro. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Just
just,
have to.
can I
Mhm.
interject? I asked Kim if she had listened to or read the 5-second rule by Mel Robbins. That was like one of the first, I didn't actually read it, I listened to it. First things like I listened to, several years back. And occasionally I will listen to it again as a reminder. But like if you have a hard time holding yourself accountable for things, implementing that into your routines might be helpful for you.
Okay.
Because it's literally as simple as like counting back. I mean, if you listen to it, but counting backwards from 5, like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's like go. So if you're like, okay, I have a break on my calendar, oh, I could keep working, I could do this, and then like you recognize that you are like making a pivotal decision about your day and about what comes next, and it's like just nope, I'm doing it, and like shifting gears. So it might be
Yeah.
helpful. I liked the audio book
Mm.
because she reads it herself too, and she's
Awesome.
hilarious.
Yeah, I love Mel Robbins. She's ADHD as well, so she's awesome. But I've been wanting to read that book for a while.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Stop wanting to do.
Okay.
And actually you can, I don't know, it's several hours long if you listen to the audiobook. It is something you could schedule as part of your break. Like I'm going to go lay on my bed and listen to this.
Okay.
I'm going to go read. So just an idea, like as something to like help you like break that
Okay.
thing. And I'm just sharing. The next thing on my calendar is meditating or tapping, like after this. So that's what I'm doing.
Awesome.
Yeah, if she'll ever share a sneak peek of her calendar, Lori builds in lots of me time and breaks and things so that she can show up like this for all of you. But it's because she does that she can show up like her shining self every day.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. Now,
So,
Mara
yeah.
can see my calendar and see all of my times.
But no, I mean, and if that's how some people do it that way, some people can just naturally do it and schedule their day, but they know before work they do this and after work they do this. Everyone is unique and different.
Mhm.
And so that's why it's read or listen to that book, try some of those things, see if that helps. But a big piece of it for you is letting go of that guilt of you not getting all of the things done in one day.
Mhm.
You're not Superwoman. I'm not Superwoman. No one's Superwoman. It's okay.
Mhm.
You've accomplished a lot in that day. And especially if you get hyper focused and you finish a website, you're like, yes, I can go live with this thing. Stay in that moment. Celebrate what you managed to get done that day, because that's a lot. Because that is shit I'm not going to do. I do not want to sit there and build a website, and it would not take me a day. It'd take me like 5 years. It's not going to be me. So celebrate the fact you have a talent, you have your gift. This is your gift, and that's what you accomplished. That's a lot. That should be celebrated. And stay in that moment. Don't let everything else that's on your list take you back into negative and guilt zone. Okay. Celebrate all the things to celebrate. You can shuffle that list around. World's not going to end, I guarantee you. Okay. Is that helpful?
It is, yes.
Okay. Yeah, come on into the chat. Keep me posted if there's specific parts about what you're trying to move around and all of that. Ask questions. We can always
Okay.
go back and forth in there.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Well, Zainab, you've been quiet. Do you have any questions today? Or are you just kind of listening in and observing?
Yeah, listening and observance. Very insightful.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
That is perfectly fine. Not a problem. Just wanted to make sure you were good. So if no one else has, does anyone else have any questions? Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys got some nuggets of goodness out of all of that. Make sure to join the rest of the experts for their sessions this month and next month, and be on the lookout. There's probably going to be some 2024 planning things that you guys can take advantage of in the membership coming up here very soon. So if you guys are kind of getting in the mode to plan for 2024, be on the lookout for all of that kind of good stuff. But otherwise, thank you all for joining us today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have a fabulous rest of your Wednesday and rest of your week.
Okay. Talk to you guys all soon. Come join Mara and I tomorrow for our live too.
Yes. We're going to laugh and cut up and have some fun. And yes,
I don't know what
so
we're
we
talking
love
about
all
yet.
of you all to join us.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. You guys have a fabulous day, and we'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.